All right, what is good, ladies and gentlemen? It is the Master Reviewer back again with another review, and today we are doing a review for Tesagure Bukatsumono. This includes the Encore sequel season. This includes also the spin-off that, we'll get into it. And just quick note, I am back in the other setup because I don't actually start class until next week, so I am here for the rest of the week, and then probably next week I'm going to start using the setup which I showed in the last video. So we got a few more videos are going to be here, and also on the weekends, like I'll probably end up doing some I'll maybe release some videos in this setup as well, so it's going to be like back and forth. But anyway, so yeah, this is the newest anime that I watched. It's not a rewatch, and so let's just get into it, starting off with the plot. So the plot, it's really stupid. It's like, just, you have these four girls. The first two seasons, they're basically the same. You have these four girls, Aoi, Hina, Koharu, and Yua, who they just basically, they have a club, and they call it the groping club, which I thought they would make a joke out of that, but they don't. That's, I don't know, maybe that's just a direct translation. It's meant to be like a club of like feeling things out, and the whole point of the club is that they basically discuss other clubs and then come up with their own versions of these other clubs. So they take like the soccer club, and then they basically say like the impressions they get from the club. They say like the tropes that the club has in manga and anime, and they then basically give their own crappy versions of the club itself. And that is basically the first two seasons. They're 12 episodes each, and they're 10 minutes each, and so that is basically the first two seasons. In the third season, it's really weird. For some reason, they make it like I don't even know if it's technically, I think it's technically meant to be considered the third season, but it's like a spin-off where for some reason they take these 5 other characters that originate from like a manga that they said is supposed to be getting an anime adaptation, but it never got an anime adaptation. And so this is like their debut in animation format and stuff. And so for some reason they extended the episode length to be 20 minutes long, where the show absolutely, like, it did not need to be extended that episode length. So now you just have these extra characters in the mix now. And then you have basically the episode is like split into two halves, where you have the main cast, which is usually in the second half, and then you have this new cast, which is in the first half. And they're basically just doing the same thing, except now it's like less of an emphasis on the clubs and stuff. So overall, the plot, I didn't really like it, to be honest. It's like, it's really boring. For one, I think it more so because there's no dub for this, so I watched it in the sub, and I think a lot of these jokes, like, they are like translation jokes, like they're like puns and stuff, and I think it more so would probably work for someone that actually understands Japanese and maybe speaks the language. So because of that, I think that just watching this, like, not even just that, just in general, like, it gets really repetitive. It's like just every episode they talk about just a different club, which it's not the most interesting, just seeing characters just talk about like a club and just coming up with their own crappy ideas for it. So overall, the plot, I'm going to say, I have to get the score sheet out for this. I have to give the plot, honestly, like a 3.5. It's pretty bad. Like, it's not interesting. Like, you could have like good like shows or something. You could have characters be in one setting and then like just them talking, and it could be interesting. But in this case, it's just very not interesting. There's just nothing to it, really. It's just characters just like talking about random topics and stuff, which it doesn't work. I do actually think one of the best things about the show is when they go over the manga / anime tropes of the club, like when they talk about the drama club or the volleyball club, and then they come up with this, like, they say like, okay, how is this portrayed in anime and manga and stuff, and they'll talk about like how the characters are in like the anime and stuff, and just the tropes that are in manga and anime for that specific club. And I'm thinking, I actually like this part because it's reminding me of like better stuff I could be watching. Like, they're talking about, like, they're describing these scenarios like the quiz club, and then they describe their own, like, if they made their own like anime or manga for like a quiz club and stuff, and how it would go, and I'd be like, this sounds more interesting than what I'm currently watching. So yeah, because of that, just the plot, it's not good, especially in the third season. Like, if they had just gone, I think the show could have worked. Not worked, but it could have been like decent at the very best if they just took one season, a 12 episodes, not even 12 episodes. If you want, you could extend it, maybe even like 24, if I'm being really generous. Like a 24 episode season, if you really want that many episodes, but preferably 12 episodes. Okay, take the best episodes from all 3 seasons. Okay, the best bits and stuff, combine it into just a 12 episode season, and then you would have like just a decent show. But the fact that it's like you have the first season and then the second season, which is extremely repetitive. By the way, at the end of the first season, they have like these, at the end of the first and the second season, they have like serialized episodes that are actually meant to be like not the standard episode that you have where they're just talking about random clubs. So at the end of the first season, it's like they have this whole thing where Hina and Yua, who are the older members of the club, they are graduating, and so they're going on to they're like their third year, so they're not going to be in the school anymore. Which it's kind of good. It's like a good final episode for the first season, and then in the second season, immediately they have like it's kind of meta. Like the whole show is meant to be like a parody of sorts. So at the beginning of the second season, they're like, let's make this one of those anime where it's like we never age. So let's just bring back let's bring back Hina and Yua for the second season. And it's like, okay, I kind of like the meta humor. I kind of like the whole joking about how certain characters don't age and stuff. I like the meta humor. It's not an issue, but it also feels lazy at times. Like specifically with the meta humor. I know I'm like going off on a tangent. I'm like kind of just talking about the show as a whole right now. So. Anyway, so they kind of like have meta humor about the actual like animation of the show, but here I'll just get into this now. The art style of the show, it looks really bad. Like it's CG animated, and I think to be honest, this is probably the first CG anime that I have watched, and it just does not look good. Like it gets tolerable after a while, like after you get used to it, but at the beginning it just does not look great, and it does not improve throughout the season. So I'm gonna have to say that the art style I'm gonna have to say like between a 2.5 to a 3, and I'll be generous. I'll give it a 3. It's like it's really bad, but it's just it does not work, the art style. And then they complain like there's a lot of episodes where they'll just reuse footage, and I guess as a joke they're saying like, oh, we're behind schedule with the animation for the episode, so what are we gonna do? Let's just reuse footage from previous seasons. Or in one of the episodes they were like, let's just use minimum. Let's just have our characters not move that much so that we could save the budget on or we can get the episode out in time. And I'm thinking the animation already does not look great. The art style does not look great either. Why? I like the meta jokes. I appreciate like that they're joking about like art style and stuff, but it doesn't work for a show like this where it's so low quality. And I'm pretty sure most of the show it's like improv, like the actual voice actresses, they're doing improv for like the characters and stuff, and so there's no actual script for a lot of the episodes, and they're just like going off the fly. So it's a very low quality production. Like it's not like they have scripts planned out and stuff, and the animation and the art style it's like not very high quality and stuff. So the fact that like they're doing these jokes, which could work if like the actual quality of the show was very like good and stuff, it was like okay, I can understand. But it's like if the animation and the quality are like this low, it's like it feels kind of lazy when you're doing all these jokes about how like we need to reuse footage because we're behind schedule. And I looked it up. The second season of the show like was announced during when the first season aired. So yeah, anyway, I'm kind of rambling, but the characters you have Aoi, who is it doesn't have pictures. Usually I use the Anime Planet site to show the characters, but for I guess the show is so unpopular that they didn't add pictures for the characters. So you have Aoi, who is like the mischievous one, I think. You have Hina, who is like the oldest responsible one, kind of. Koharu, which is the one at the very beginning of the show that she's enticed to join the club. You have Yua, who is kind of the leader of the club, and then in the spin-off, you do have other characters that show up. Like in the second season, you have Mio, who was a character that was previously in the club but ended up graduating. You have another character named Hina, who is from this. It's weird. It's like they're from another manga, and they're just for some reason they're doing a spin-off, like a crossover with both the manga and the anime. So it's weird. So the other characters are honestly they kind of all blend in together, and there's nothing really too unique about any of the characters. But you have also Hina, Kanon, you have Rin, Tomomi, and Yui, and yeah, I don't really have anything to say about most of the characters. I think I will still do a character ranking just to continue with the consistency of doing a character ranking after each show and anime, so I'll get more into them with the character ranking, I guess, and I will have like images and stuff for them, but yeah, in general, the characters, they're not really great, to be honest. They're not that interesting. A lot of them do blend together in the third season. And in the first 2 seasons, I guess it's fine, like just having the 4 characters, but it's really not that interesting, none of them. So I'm just going to say the characters are, I'm going to say like between a 3.5 to a 4, between like pretty bad, and I'm just going to, I'm going to be generous, so I'm just going to give it a 4. I'm going to say that they're bad. So in terms of, there's also a lot of side characters. There's also, there's another character, Mobuko, who is kind of like this filler character in case they ever need, in the first 2 seasons, she's meant to be like in case they need another character that's not one of the 4 main casts to be in the show. It's like they bring her in, and she has like, the joke with her is that she has like a bunch of sisters who are basically like clones of her. And yeah, she has like no facial expressions ever. And then there are some side characters that they do show in like the first 2 seasons, also the 3rd season, I think, where they don't animate any of the side characters. Like they don't show their faces or anything. They barely like move and stuff. So yeah, it just more goes to show that this show feels kind of lazy. So anyway, the settings of the show, it all takes place in the first 2 seasons. It basically just all takes place inside a school that they go to. I forgot the name of the school. It's called like the Tosei High School, something like that. I don't remember. And in the 3rd season, it also takes place in the school, but also like you see some more areas, I guess. And like they go to a fair at one point, they go to a zoo. There's also like the cafe area that the other manga characters like hang out. So all the settings, none of it's great really. I don't really like any of the settings that much. It all feels kind of small, especially in the club room area. So I'm gonna have to give it the settings are. I'm gonna go another 4 out of 10. I'm gonna say the settings are bad. So yeah, in terms of the comedy / parody aspects, I'll say this, credit where credit's due. There was like 1 or 2 good jokes that I thought that they laughed. Like one towards the very end of the show, where it's like in the 3rd season. I think some of the voice actors did like some funny maybe not impressions, but I think they were like shouting some of their lines at one point, and I thought that was funny. And then there was initially when they said like, okay, we're gonna reuse footage because we don't have like the time to finish the animation. Initially when they said that, like I like the meta humor, so because of that I thought that was like funny, but yeah, then it just got annoying. So overall, I think the parody, like when they are like doing meta humor here and there, it's like it can be funny. Like when they mention like something about anime movies where like it always feels different than the actual show itself in terms of like the continuity of certain characters and stuff. I like how they speak about how that's like an alternate parallel universe and stuff when they are speaking about like the show itself and like them as voice actors. I think it's like it kind of works, but overall I don't really think that the comedy, like there's no jokes that are really funny. A lot of the jokes are it's like that the voice actors doing improv, and it's just none of it is that entertaining or humorous, to be honest. And again, it might be a language thing. It might just be because I don't really understand Japanese and I'm like reading this from subtitles and stuff. So maybe if like you do understand Japanese, maybe you find it funnier. But yeah, I'm just gonna say that the comedy, it was I'm gonna go with like yeah, I'm gonna say like I'm gonna be harsh about this. I'm gonna say the comedy was really bad. I'm gonna give it a 3. Yeah, so the worst thing about this, I think the worst thing is definitely the length of the show. If you just had this be, again, if you just had like a 12 episode season, just take like the best episodes, the best bits from each episode, like disregard the entire 3rd season. Like you don't need all these extra characters, just have 1 season. Okay, you can even extend a bit. Like if you don't want it to be 12 episodes, then like extend a bit. I don't know, like 12 episodes is the standard. If you want to do a bit more, whatever. Even if you want to double it, go like 24 episodes. Keep it 10 minutes, okay? You do not need a 23-minute episode for this kind of show. Just compact it, and it would have been a lot better, I think. So keep like the serialized endings, like have like at the end of the 2nd season where they do like the backstory for Aoi, like have that be like in the, I don't know, the halfway point of the show or something like that, and then keep the final episode where it's like they graduate and stuff, and then don't do the whole joke about them coming back to the next season later. So like if you just condensed it into like a 1 season show, it could have been decent, I'd say. But because of the length is just like it did not need to be as long as this. I think as it stands, the show as a whole is like the 1st season, it's 12 episodes, 10 minutes each, so it's like 2 hours. The 2nd season, same thing, 2 hours, so it's like 4 hours for the first 2 seasons. And then the 3rd season, it's 12 episodes, but each episode is double in length, so it's like 20 minutes each. So the last season is 4 hours, so the show total is at like 8 hours. Like this does not need to be an 8-hour long show. So yeah, I'm gonna say that the worst thing is definitely the runtime of just the entire show, and I'm gonna say it was I'm gonna say like it was awful. I think I'm gonna give it a 2.5. Yeah, so awful. And in terms of the best thing, I did write down a few things that I did like about the show. I do like when they go over the manga / anime tropes. I do think that it usually, okay, not always it's good. Like in fact, I'd say like 51% of the time it's probably not that entertaining, but occasionally it's like I do get interested in like what they're talking about, and then like discussing like the anime / manga tropes of like certain clubs and stuff. So the meta humor, I did say sometimes it works, but it's usually not funny. But I usually find it like I like, I guess, when shows like they do meta humor sometimes. So, and I do like the serialized ending. I do like at the season finale of season 1 and 2. I do actually think are good. I do think that it works, and I kind of wish they had done maybe a bit more serialized stuff instead of just the repetitive, just every episode nature of the show, where they're just like going over just different clubs in like the first 2 seasons, and then in the 3rd season they just talk about whatever. So. So I will say, I'm going to say the best thing was probably the endings for, I guess, the first 2 seasons, I'm going to say, which I would give it like I'm not going to call it like great or anything, but I will call it like, I'm going to say it was between like a 5.5 to a 6. So I'm going to be harsh, so I'm going to call it a 5.5. I'm going to say that they were decent, the endings for the first 2 seasons. The ending of the 3rd season was like really stupid. They don't even have like Hina in like the final episode of the show. Like they have her, but it's like for some reason they say like they make a joke about it, about how she's like sick, so she doesn't show up for like the final episode or something. So I found that kind of stupid. And then it was just like some competition of them, like I thought it was like kind of clever. They did some more meta humor where it's like, okay, the one who wins the competition is going to get like extra pay. They're going to be considered the main character of the show, and then the main character ends up getting like extra money and stuff. So I thought it was like kind of clever, but it still just wasn't really that funny or anything. So yeah. Anyway, that is yeah, pretty much all the extra notes I wrote down. I did like, I don't usually write down extra notes, but for this one specifically, like, because it was like a pretty negative review overall, I did want to like mention just a few of the positive things. So, but yeah, so anyway, I'm going to do the calculations. So King Crimson. All right, so it ends up coming out to about a 3.5, which would be pretty bad. And I think I would like maybe give it a bit higher, to be honest. I think like maybe just I would call it like a 4 out of 10. I think I think I would call it bad, like a 4 out of 10. But I don't think I would go as far as to say like a 3.5. I think up until this point, the lowest anime that I ended up giving a score for was like the Irresponsible Galaxy Tyler, and I'm pretty sure I gave that a 3.5. And because of I think that's technically probably worse than this, but because of like the runtime mercy fallacy that or whatever I end up, the runtime mercy principle that I ended up coming up with, because it's shorter, I'd rather watch that over this, even though I think this is probably better. I think like the difference between the two is like here, the Irresponsible Galaxy Tyler, it felt like that was like trying to do something and it just failed at doing so. So I ended up giving it like a 3.5. It was like pretty bad. And with this, it feels like they're just not even trying really. So because of that, I ended up, but it feels like they're not even trying. So it like, they don't accomplish anything, but at the very same time, it felt like there's like no potential that was like really wasted, I guess. So I'm just gonna give this one like a 4 out of 10. I'm gonna say it was bad. And yeah, so 4 out of 10. So yeah, so if you have any recommendations, any shows, movies, video game stories, anime, web series, anything that you want me to review, leave it in the comments and I will maybe possibly check it out. But with that said, that is pretty much all there is to it. So let's leave it at that.